Hey guys! I know it's been a while, since October of 2024 actually, and I'll explain where I've been at the end of the video for those of you who are interested. But for now, let's talk a little bit about Lethal Company. Because as much as I love this game, it's in a bit of a strange spot right now. It has been a very long time since Lethal Company's last major content update. A full 180 days since the Mineshaft and the Maneater were added. By far the longest dry spell we've had since the game has dropped. And yet, the player base is still holding up pretty strong. People are still playing, streaming, and making content. So what does this mean? So today, I'm here to speculate on the future of Lethal Company and talk about what's happening with the game now. For a long period after the launch of the game, updates came fast. We got new monsters, new moons, new mechanics, new items, tons of new stuff. The game was constantly feeling fresh. And then, after the August update that added the Mineshaft and the Maneater, we got a bag, party hats, and snowmen, and that has been it. So, what's going on? Well, if you've been active in the Lethal Company community outside of the game, you already know what's going on. Zeekers stated on his Patreon, "I've had to step away from Lethal Company, but I don't think it'll be hard to come back to it all. The reason I stepped away is because if I had forced myself to stay on it, I just want it to be done and over with ASAP so I can be free of it. I chose not to worry about the game's player count and keeping the game alive because I know people can always come back when it's time." So hey, when I read this, I thought, fair enough. Everyone gets burned out, especially on a project as big and as popular as Lethal Company. In the meantime, Zeekers has been working on a new game, Welcome to the Dark Place, which is going to be very different from Lethal Company, but it's still pretty exciting to see what's coming up with that. Now that we know what's happened with Lethal Company, let's talk about the state of the game itself. And this one may surprise you. I know it surprised me. You see, despite not receiving an update for such a long period of time, the game's player count has not suffered a substantial amount. Sure, it's been on a slow downward trend, but the game still hovers around 10 to 20,000 players, with peaks as high as 30,000. So, why is this? One reason I think is that Lethal Company is just a really good game. The core gameplay loop is fun, and the randomness of each run can make it very easy to come back to. But more importantly, the community carries the popularity of this game. Modders are constantly adding new features to fill the void that Zeekers left when he decided to not update the game for such a long period of time. Streamers and content creators keep the game fresh with new challenges. And there's even a ton of casual players that just find their own ways to make fun. In a way, numbers like these are very impressive. Most multiplayer games need consistent updates to stay relevant, but Lethal Company is still standing strong, despite a lack of updates. But here's the thing. While the game is still doing well now, there's only so long that the community will last without new content. People want updates. They want new maps, new monsters, new mechanics. Anything to spice the game up, really. And the longer we go without an update, the more people start to wonder, has the game been abandoned? Now, to be clear, I don't think that's the case. But I do think that if the silence continues, we might see more players drop off over time. Until eventually, the game really is dead. Since you made it this far into the video, I'm sure you're enjoying it. So, do me a favor. Drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps out, especially since I've been away for a while. Let's get the discussion going. Do you think Lethal Company needs an update soon, or are you still having fun with what we have? Let me know below. Alright, let's say Zeekers has been working on something for a while and we do get an update soon. What could we expect to see in it? I think one of the things that we could see in the next update would be the moon liquidation. This moon has been in the files for a while, and the big thing about this moon is that the entire exterior will be underwater. We haven't seen anything like this before, so I think with liquidation, we'll also see the addition of some new monsters for underwater, new items to help us survive in such harsh conditions, and other things that will guide us through this planet. I think we could also see the re-addition of the Kidnapper Fox that was removed a couple versions ago. While I'm not sure exactly how Zeekers should go about this, I do think it would be nice to have it back in the game. Now, we know we'll get something in the future. Zeekers has made multiple comments in multiple areas about how the game isn't abandoned, he's just taking a break. So it isn't a question of if, it's a question of when. And I do believe that when will be sometime this year, 2025. Right here in this Patreon post from Zeekers, he says, in 2025, hopefully I'll have Welcome to the Dark Place finished and not looming over my head, and I'll be working on Lethal Company on a shiny new computer. This post bodes well for the future. I think as a community, we can expect more content this year to play around with, which is great. In this section, I'd like to talk about where Lethal Company fits into the bigger picture of co-op horror games and the mark that it has left on the genre in general. Over the years, we've seen a lot of co-op horror games sort of cement their place in their own communities. Games like The Outlast Trials, Phasmophobia, or Dead by Daylight, they all have their own place in their own communities. So I'm wondering, does Lethal Company have anything like that? Or is it too early to be able to tell? Well, in my opinion, I don't think it's too early at all. I think Lethal Company, in its own way, has created its own genre of co op horror, and it has a dedicated community around it that I think will be around for years to come. When I play Lethal Company, most of the fun comes from messing around with my friends, and I think that's why it's been so successful and why it's going to last for such a long time. There are games that have tried to capitalize off of the success of Lethal Company by creating a similar gameplay loop inspired by Lethal Company. One of the most notable of these games is Murky Divers, which is a great game by itself, but you have to admit it was definitely inspired by the success of Lethal Company. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. The game is still very fun, the community is still super strong, but we're all waiting. And if we go too much longer without any updates, I think it could start to hurt the player base. If I'm being honest, a lack of content is why I stopped making content in the first place. Back in October, I just ran out of ideas with Lethal Company. So let me know down in the comments below. What do you hope to see in Lethal Company's next update to make the game feel as fresh as possible again? And for those of you wondering where I've been, life got busy. School on top of college applications on top of everything else, there just wasn't time for YouTube in my life. But I'm back now, and I'm here to stay to keep making content. So let me know if you guys want to see anything different other than Lethal Company based content. That would be very nice. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to check out my other videos and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.